Um, Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's panel discussion on spectacles, see well and look good. This panel discussion, IVI is delighted to be doing this in association with Vision Plus magazine. We've got three very eminent panelists who, among other things, will be talking about prescription glasses, how it's more than a fashion statement while also serving the purpose of correcting vision, irrespective of the age group. Frame selection is mostly driven by individual preferences. However, recommendations from an informed eyewear consultant can make a significant difference in attaining the comfort, intended visual outcomes, and aesthetic appeal. So we have, as I mentioned, three very eminent panelists who are going to be sharing their experiences. So we have Yashwant Sahuji, who's a consultant optometrist and educator. Yashwant is a senior optometrist from Nagpur, specializing in the field of contact lenses and has been in practice for 24 years. He holds a master's degree in optometry from the School of Optometry, Bharat Vidyapith University, Pune. He's a founder and chief optometrist at Sahuji Vision Care. Welcome, Yashwant. We also have Kunal Shah, who's a CEO of Eye Savers. Kunal is in practice for the last 19 years and is an experienced trainer in contact lenses and practice management. He graduated from Elite School of Optometry and is a fellow of British Contact Lens Association. He's a founder, chief optometrist, ocularist, and orthokeratologist at Eye Savers. Welcome, Kunal. And our third panelist is Ajay Shinde, who is the CEO and optometrist of Shinde Eye Care, based in Bangalore. Ajay graduated from the Elite School of Optometry, Chennai in 1991, and he completed his master's from Lotus College of Optometry in Mumbai in 2013. He started his own clinic, Shinde Eye Care Center, in 1993, and has completed 27 years of practice. Currently, Ajay is a visiting faculty at Shankara College of Optometry. He is one among the few lifetime awardees of FACT. So welcome, panelists. The format for the day is going to be each one of the panelists would get between 5 to 10 minutes to make their opening comments, and then we'll have a time for open discussion. Anyone who's watching this, you have a question for the panelists, please do type that in the chat box on Zoom or on Facebook Live. So we'll start in this order. We'll start with Kunal making his opening comments, followed by Yashwant, and then Ajay. Kunal, over to you.
Thank you, Ajay. Thank you, Vinod. So to begin with, selecting glasses has always been a very complicated job for a lot of people, especially when you want to select it for the first time. And for me, because I've been wearing glasses since long, for me, the selection is still very critical. Though I'm a married guy, so I have to take a lot of opinion from my wife. But otherwise, selection always has been very difficult for me. So there are a lot of criteria that has to be taken care of when you're selecting glasses. So a lot of time when we look at those glasses, spectacles, they look amazingly good when you're looking at the shelf of those optical store. And a lot of times you get very overhyped and you want to see those, try those, and you feel they look fantastic because you would have seen one of your favorite personalities or a celebrity wearing those, and you find them, they would look the best because they look amazingly good in those spectacles. But there are a lot of factors that has to be considered to make sure that they look good on your face. So the glasses might look good on the shelf, but they have to look good on your face also. So the first and foremost part is the kind of face contour you have. The basic simple rule is that you have to select a shape which is basically opposite to your face shape. For example, you have a square shape and you would prefer an oval kind of glasses, and you have a round shape and the square one or rectangle looks better. So that's a very simple way of looking at the face contour part. But there are a lot of other factors that has to be considered. So this is not a very simple rule that you have a round face and you select a rectangle frame and they might look fantastic. Because sometimes your hairstyle can change the way your face looks. So that is not a simple rule of thumb. So you have to consider your face tone, whether you have a warm tone, you have a cool tone, whether you have a small face, a large face. So if you have a small face, we normally recommend a glass shape, which is basically proportional to your face shape. So example, you have a small shape, we would advise the frame glass shape to be slightly smaller. Considering if you have a face shape which is very wide, then we would recommend a frame which is slightly more wider. But more important than that is the comfort part. Now, how do you determine whether you have selected the right kind of frame size for the glasses to be comfortable? So for that, we simply have a rule that you always have to observe your temples. We call these the temples, the simple small sticks which moves around the frame. Now they have to go absolutely parallel to your face. Now, if they're moving out, it basically indicates that you have taken a frame which is slightly smaller, and that might leave certain marks on your face. And if you take a frame where the temples are going in, it basically indicates that a frame is slightly wider and they are more likely to skid off from your face and would not stay very secure on your face. So that is one thing that has to be considered in a very strong way, because that affects your comfort level over a period of time. Then the second factor that has to be considered is the length of your nose and the face proportion. So there are certain frames, when you take the bridge, if the bridge is oversized on the top, it might give an appearance that your nose is slightly more longer than they are. And if the bridge is slightly more in the center, it gives an appearance that your nose is slightly more shorter. So depending on your nose length and the nose contour, you have to select the frame. That means the frame has to fit well on your nose angle. And apart from that, they have to accentuate your physical appearance in terms of your having the exact size of nose feeling. The third factor is your prescription. Now, a lot of time, you select a frame, you look on the mirror, and they look amazingly good. But when the final prescription comes out in your hand, and the same frame that you have selected with all the due course and due care, you feel they're not looking great on the face. And that normally happens when you have not selected the right kind of shape for the prescription that you have. So you need to really consult your optometrist and take those decisions in tandem. Whether this particular shape of the glasses would really match with your prescription. For example, you have a high plus power, then we would recommend a frame where your eye sits right in the center of your frame. Now, that will happen. There are two more things that has to be considered. One is the size of the glasses. You'll have to go for a size which is slightly more smaller, and not to have a frame shape which is like very rectangle. Now, this can not only reduce the weight, it will make it lighter, it will make it thinner, and cosmetically it will look better. And after that, you also have to make sure that the frame sits very close to your eyes, as much close as possible. This way, not only that you have a better field of view, that means you're able to see wider. Second thing is the magnification effect of those plus power would also go down. So we recently had a prescription which is simple +3 diopter power. Now the prescription looks very minimal as such, but when we looked at the outcome of the glasses was so thick that this person was not even willing to wear the glasses, in spite of going with a very high index power. And the whole reason was that we could not find out the right optimum diameter for that. And the frame glass shape was so large beneath the eye that it was impossible to have the right PD and at the same time control the thickness. So this basically indicates how important it is to select the right kind of shape, even though prescription could be very simple sometimes. Now, once you have the right kind of shape and the right kind of frame, I think the glasses would be comfortable. And the last factor that you have to consider is the personality. Now, what represents you basically? Now, a lot of times you are in a professional meeting, you would require a glass which looks very elegant and very simple. Sometimes you have a personality where you're into kind of creative field. So you might require glasses that basically presents your personality, where you want to have a color maybe which is more vibrant, a shape which makes you stand out from any other person. So you'll have to basically decide on that. And once you do that, I think you're on course. So over to you, Vinod. I think these are the important factors that would have to be considered.
Thank you so much, Kunal. I'll pass it on to Yashwant.
Yeah, thank you, Vinod, and hello to all who are watching this program, and hi to all my co-panelists. Vinod, just a little correction in my introduction. Instead of 24 years of experience, I now clock 29 years of experience, and I'm as young as Ajay Shinde. And because you cross 29 years of practice and you tend to forget theory, so it was nice to hear Kunal recite everything. He still knows his concepts very well and by heart. So I think, Kunal, you have covered almost everything. And we've kind of simplified that frame selection process in my practice. Now, mine is more of an optometric clinic rather than an optical store. So what we do is after refraction, we have a little one-to-one chat with the patient and we discuss about the lens before the frame. So whether it's going to be a progressive lens, what kind of progressive design, what should be the refractive index, what should be the coating. So by the time the patient walks out of my consulting room, the lens decision is already made. And when they go outside, the rule is they have to select 5 frames to their liking. So we don't talk about the face shape, we don't talk about the frame shape, whether it is rimless or nothing. So they have to select 5 frames, and after selecting 5 frames, they call me outside, and then the whole process is logic driven. So as Kunal mentioned, if somebody has got smaller face at the bottom portion, then we prefer either a rimless frame or a supra frame wherein the frame doesn't block this area of the face shape. If somebody's got a small nose and if that person wants to go in for a plastic frame, then it can be transparent over here so that more length of the nose can be seen. Or if the nose is too long, then it has to be opaque over here. So it cuts the nose length and the appearance is that the nose is shortened. So something like this, like for example, my own case, whenever I've done programs online, people have sent me message say your frame is not properly adjusted. That is because my left eyebrow is seen over the frame and my right eyebrow is not seen if I have to hold my frame like this. So they feel the frame is tilted. Whereas the reality check is this eyebrow is at a higher level. So I need a frame which blocks my eyebrow so that this defect is hidden. So it's basically logic driven. Like in Kunal's case, Kunal himself, I think, has got a wide forehead. So I would definitely prefer a frame which has got a higher temple joint, which Kunal is rightly wearing. So that kind of reduces this length. The appearance of this length is reduced and more of face is seen down as well. So Kunal, you're wearing a beautiful frame. Let me compliment you there. And one more point that I really concur with you, Kunal, is considering the prescription. So in my practice, we give fashion a second or third priority. The first priority is user experience and utility of the product that the patient is wearing, right? So if the prescription is very high, let's say the prescription is high on axis 90. So we know the 180, the A size would matter a lot. If the patient is having -5 at 90, then we need a frame with smaller A size. And if the patient is having -5 at axis 180, then we know the patient needs a smaller B size, because then you can bring down the thickness considerably, which is what happens in most of the cases. The patient likes the frame on the stand, but once the product is ready, once the spectacles are ready, they don't like it because the thickness is shown. So if we take care of these things, and the other thing why I don't go by the face shapes and frame shapes is if it is a high minus prescription, which is what I see most often in my practice, because mine is again a myopia control and contact lens driven practice. So if it is going to be a high minus, then an oval frame, which is the smallest to that person's liking and which does not hinder peripheral vision to that extent, is my first choice. Because the end product, the spectacles are definitely much better in these kind of frames. So the whole process is logic driven, and we stand guarantee that the patient is going to be eventually happy with the end product. So if the patient selects 5 frames, and if none of them are technically perfect, if I don't approve of those 5 frames, then the person goes out again and selects the next batch of 5 frames. So in short, I decide what frame the patient is going to wear. The patient doesn't get a chance to decide. So this is how I operate. And what I've realized that most of the patients who walk into my practice for my consultation appreciate that. So Ajay, over to you. You can share your experiences, but here I control.
Thank you, Yashwant. I think both of you have covered up quite a bit of the frame selections. I would like to add a little bit on the lenses, of course, because as it says, seeing well is what is most important, and that's the reason why a person's actually wearing glasses. See, today's dispensing, in most of the cases, it comes with default of anti-reflection coated lenses. So basically, to enhance the quality of vision, anti-reflection coating lenses is important in the present scenario. And the other thing about selection of frames, see, as I think most of them who are actually present in this or viewing the presentation are youngsters who are trying to understand about frame selections. So I'd actually just show you a few slides and describe how to help a person select the frame. Or just give me a minute on this, please. I'm jumping a few slides so that we can have a little bit more conversation. There I go. Yeah, of course, for frame selection, the ideal shape which many of us would want to have to dispense any kind of a frame would be an oval as an ideal shape of the face. Now, a spectacle frame when chosen can actually restore the balances which Kunal and Yashwant were trying to say about the frame, I mean the face being small or large, nose bridge, or the nose being slightly larger. It all depends on various contours. Okay, the ideal ones will still be the oval shaped face. Now, how to analyze the face shapes is something very important, and I found this pretty interesting, and I just googling out and I found these images and a few slides on this, so I thought I will present this. Now this, let's say you take a photograph of a person and then you just have to drop in a few perpendicular lines along the inner canthus and the outer canthus, which will actually divide this into 5 bits over here, or 5 divisions over here. Now this one, let us say, if you want to figure out whether this is actually, the bridge is pretty broad, or the distance between the inner canthus and the outer canthus, how wide is it? So this will all give you a good symmetry of the person's face. Now, if you consider this middle bit over here, identifying the equal sections of the narrow seated eyes. Now, are these the bridge size very narrow, or is the IPD very small? You can actually figure out through this particular gap over here, and accordingly help the person select the frame. Or for that matter, even in the peripheries, is this cheekbone showing up a little bit more? It's the same one, once again, whatever I've expressed. The other thing which again Yashwant mentioned about how to figure out which portion, all right, I'm just trying to get this here, which portion, like in Kunal's case, he's mentioned about the forehead being a little wider. Again, you're going to be dividing into 3 parts over here, one from the hairline to the eyebrow region, from the eyebrow region to the tip of the nose, and then again to the tip of your chin. So you again divided into 3 parts of the frame, and then you will know exactly as to which portion do you need to address, which is appearing more prominent, and you need to help the person select the frame. Like in this case, let us say if this is the portion which is actually the most widest portion in Kunal's shape, what Yashwant said was about the forehead size. So he has to try and get something which is of a slightly higher eye wire size, which is going a little beyond his eyebrow region, and the temple sides being more in the center. But if it is in this area, that's the middle section, then you got to have a frame which sits a little deeper and cuts down the length of this one, this gap over here. So these are small informations that you can gather just by looking at the person's face or taking an image of the person and then jotting it down. There's another way to look at it is um, trying a few dots, or dots being marked on the person's, let's say, a photograph, on the hairline borders, that's these two, and then going on to the cheeks, then again onto the jaw portion. And then you join these will give you an idea about the different shapes that one can actually plot. Now, for example, once you plot these kind of different shapes, you will be able to get an idea about what is the kind of shape that the person has got. Like for in this particular case, is it an oblong shape of the face, or is it a rectangle, or more of a round? And any of these 9 options that you have over here. So you can, for beginners, at least who are in the sales counter, you can probably give them an idea about what kind of frames would help the person, you know, get more uniform appearance of the face, and not giving him that, as Kunal started to say, you got to break the uniformity which is not there. Like if it's oblong, you want to try and make it look a little bit more round. So you got to help the person select a frame in which the shapes can be changed a little bit, at least the appearance. Yeah. So if you got to chart something like this, it will help the person, at least a beginner, as an optometrist or an optician, to actually pick up the right kind of frames and guide this customer of his. Now, for example, a frame that is required for a high myope should be something which is small, round frame. And when I say flat bevel, again, it depends on the way you get the beveling done on the edges, so that the thickness of the lens is really not shown up. Of course, plastic frames are the most important ones that we presently would be advising. And avoiding rimless frames, again, depending on the prescription. If it's moderate to high prescriptions, then yes, avoid rimless. But if it's a little, say around -3 or a -4, I'm sure people would love to have rimless frames for those cases. It works fine. Okay, and reducing the vertex distance, actually, as Kunal says, it will enhance the peripheral field of vision. It works very well on those cases too. And complexion is something that Kunal also mentioned. So just to get the few quick points over here, 3 key points. Our frame shape should contrast with the face shape. Frame size should be in scale with the face. That is what Kunal was trying to explain about the temple sides. And eyewear should balance the personal proportions of the face. Essential elements that you have to take into consideration is the basic face shapes. Identify the shape, analyzing the proportions, which I've just given you about the way to assess or analyze the shape of the face, and selecting frames that enhance the features. Now, I will go back on one of those very important ones, which many people actually miss out, is this one. For the kids, this is a very ideal fitting frame for the kids. One is it's very well centered, reduced vertex distance for a good field of view, and frame rim along the eyebrow region. This particular one that I was trying to express is it should go above the eyebrow or just in line, and make sure the vertex distance is very, very minimal in this case. The reason for this, let's say if you're trying to treat amblyopes, most of this age group kids are likely to just bend and look over their glasses. So that's one of the reasons why this frame selection for children is important, to get the rim to go well above his eyebrow if possible. And of course, for all children, durable frames are extremely important. Okay, that's about it. I had a few more slides, but I think I will be taking a lot of time. So we'll get into a little bit of discussions as of now.
Thank you so much, Ajay, and thanks, Kunal and Yashwant. I think you can unmute if you want. So I've got a few, broad things for us to start chatting on. I'll also ask the participants to type in the questions, if you want any particular aspect to be answered. Um, so my first question is this one. I think each one of you can answer. One can follow the other. So if you look at the last decade, last 10 years, how has the trend in eyewear changed? In terms of visibly somebody probably seeing people wearing glasses, and what difference would you note if you take the last 10 years? And the second part of the question is, has the lockdown had an impact where people are spending more time at home? Has that had any kind of an impact in terms of the types of glasses or the type of styles or anything? So I'll just leave it, quite open-ended. Any of you can start with, then others can follow.
Vinod, I think I will start here. One of the major changes that we've seen in the last 10 years is earlier, everybody hesitated to wear glasses. And these days, glasses are no longer a taboo in most of the cases. So 10 years back, people used to opt for very thin frames, rimless frames, which are not shown on the face, which will not make a fashion statement. Basically, it will be all subdued appearance. But these days, people don't mind going in for more pronounced frames or sheet frames or black color frames, which are very thick. And the first thing that you see when you see that person is the frame. And to a certain extent, I think Amitabh Bachchan is responsible for this because he started wearing prominent frames and then people did not mind it. And then people took one step further and now people don't mind wearing red frames and yellow frames. And I'm sure Kunal and Ajay would agree with me when I say that other than the thin frames, when we upgraded to thick frames, other than black color, people now opt for red colors and yellow colors more now. As Kunal already mentioned, people who are associated with creative professions would actually like to go with very prominent frames, whether it is color or the thickness of the frame. And with respect to your lockdown, the second part of your question, I think people have realized the importance of having a backup pair with them. So I had predicted when the lockdown happens that when the lockdown opens up, all the optometrists would actually get a lot of patients in their clinic and that will last for first 2 months. Because people who did not have proper eyewear with them, they wanted to get their eyes tested and they wanted a proper eyeglass. And people who had proper eyeglass with them, they wanted a second pair because they understood the importance of a backup pair. So I think we all saw that initial surge when the lockdown opened. We saw so many patients and now it is kind of plateaued off and the business is not good, not bad. So we are moving on. So these are my observations. Kunal and Ajay, you can comment further.
I'll agree to most part of what Yashwant has said. The trend looks very uniform across. In these last 10 years, people have started loving their glasses. So initially, we wanted to hide our glasses. Now we are hiding behind them. So the glasses have taken a prominent stage. So people want to showcase their glasses. And fortunately, I would say even 5 years back, there were very simple shapes we used to move. And the life was much easier for us. I mean, we used to keep just simple square shape and rectangle and the thing was done. There used to be a lot of semi-rimless and rimless frames and your practice would be good. Now, I think it's a new young lots who are very experimental. They want to try new shapes. They are fine with the frames looking very prominent. The thick ones are in trend. The thin ones are in trend. I really have a doubt what is not in trend now. So almost everything is in trend right now. So what we have observed is people want frames which looks very different, which looks exclusive to them. So they want to try new shapes. So that is one thing which has taken a center stage. And maybe thanks to all these prominent online stores and everybody who showcases new kind of designs every now and then. And I think that is influencing a lot of people also. Second thing is post-COVID, as Yashwant rightly said, people have understood the importance of glasses. Not only glasses, in fact, we always used to think people used to wear contact lenses when they move out. And during lockdown, we used to get a lot of calls requiring contact lens solutions. I mean, So that basically means people also wanted to wear contact lenses at home. Also indicates the kind of comfort contact lenses do have with a lot of people, especially people with having higher powers. Second thing, we have seen a dramatic surge in the number of young kids coming to the optometric practice to get their eyes examined. So that is one thing which has gained a lot of traction post-lockdown. And also we are seeing a dramatic increase in the number of people inquiring for lenses which can cut off harmful blue light. Now that can be a debatable question, but there are a lot of people who actually really love to have glasses which cuts off those harmful blue lights. So that's a trend which is picking up across. Over to you, Ajay.
Yeah, I agree with Yashwant and Kunal on lots of points. Well, in the past 10 years, as Yashwant rightly said, most of them in the beginning of this, say 2010 or so, we had people who would prefer the rimless ones and very sober looking glasses. But now, the more prominent they are, the more prominent, the more loud they are, people definitely prefer those kinds to the lighter colors. But I think the trend is again changing to the lighter colors in the recent past. And of course, and Kunal has added another point about post-lockdown. The demand for these blue block lenses have increased because of many people sitting in front of the screen. That's another point to be noted. People do come back and ask for these blue block lenses at the counter. And some of them consider it as you're going to be dispensing blue block lenses as a default lens to them. The other thing that we've had during the lockdown is people who are using contact lenses have stopped using contact lenses, or rather reduced their usage of contact lenses, and they have realized that their spectacles are not as comfortable. So they have come in for a change of spectacles, and they use their spectacles more often in the recent, let's say for the past few months. The other thing, the other trend that has also probably changed in the past decade will be using multiple pairs. Quite a few of them will say, yeah, I would prefer to have one for the office, one for my weekends, maybe sunglasses every now and then when they go out. So these multiple pair concept has caught on in the past decade. That's about it, what I can think of for your question, Vinod.
Thank you all three. I'll now pick one audience question.
Sure.
This particular person wants to know that with plastic lenses in fashion, what's the right way to clean plastic lenses, especially in a place like India where dust is a big issue?
Right. Can I answer them?
Sure.
I think that's the only concern a lot of people have about plastic lenses, that they scratch easier than the glass lenses. But I think with the recent advancement in the technology, we are seeing the lenses to be very durable. Now, not a lot of people have the right habit of cleaning the lenses. That's the whole thing. So what we advise is there are two things that has to be followed religiously when you're using all these fiber lenses. So the first thing is whenever you want to clean the glass, you get a lot of cleaning spray. So you can spray and then actually wipe with a soft cloth. If you don't have a spray, you just have to put them under any running water. The idea is very simple. Now you have a fiberglass and you have a lot of dust particle on the lens surface. When you rub these glasses, because of the dust particle, you can get scratches. So once you spray or you put under running water, those dust particles will go off. And then you can actually wipe with any soft cloth. And we have a lot of these people who have even come after 2 years and we hardly see any kind of scratches. That means it's all about maintaining the glasses in the right way. Second thing is when you don't wear the glasses, it always has to be in the case. Now, we earlier had a habit that you take out your glasses and put it into your pocket. Now you might have your pen, mobile, coins, all these things can rub against the glass surface. And those are the two major reasons why people get scratches. I think these are simple habitual change that has to be done. Now, a lot of people ask me, so why don't we shift back to glasses in case the glasses are much more durable? So let me always say, it's all about weighing an advantage, disadvantage with fiber and glass. So you have a fiber which is extremely lightweight, they're very comfortable, they don't break. That means you don't come with an emergency anytime with a fiber lens. Apart from that, almost acts like a helmet. It's actually impact resistant. So if you take the benefits, it's far more than what we see in a glass. Second thing is, I don't think we're going to see any advancement in the glass anytime. The kind of demands what we are seeing in fiber, because you're seeing more advantages in them. So I think globally, the world is shifting towards fiber. And then the scratch resistance is not a major issue right now with the current quality of glasses what we have.
Thank you, Kunal. That was quite comprehensive.
I would like to add a few points on this.
Yeah, sure.
Most of the scratches that come up are basically on the anti-reflection coating. It's not usually the hard coat. So a person who has been abusing glasses, when you see his previous glasses, they've been badly scratched. And most often when you take a look at it, it's the anti-reflection coating that's actually scratched badly. It's at this point where you need to probably advise them whether they should, if their work, their lifestyle is something that is being exposed to a lot of dust and dirt, you can actually give them a piece of advice and saying, if you think it's okay to be off with the anti-reflection coating, then the person can opt out of it, because the scratches that come up on a lens without the anti-reflection coating is far less than the ones with the anti-reflection coating. And of course, the cleaning procedure.
Ajay, I think your internet. Can you repeat the last line?
What Kunal said about the the cleaning procedure and the maintenance was absolutely correct. There's nothing to be added there, but with the anti-reflection coating, I think that's something one needs to be aware of.
Yeah, just give me 30 seconds.
Sure.
I would just like to add what Kunal said. Basically, hold the frame under running tap water, then dab it with tissue paper, and then final wipe with the microfiber cloth which your optician gives you along with the glasses. I think if you do this, your scratches are eliminated to a great extent, and your glasses can easily last beyond 2 years. The other thing, Ajay, what you said, I beg to disagree. I mean, I would not like to take the anti-reflection coating off, but these are individual preferences. And I would like to give my 2 cents to the audience who are watching this program, that sometimes, we get tempted to give lesser quality of anti-reflection coating to save few bucks for the patient as well as for you yourself. But then if you stick with good quality anti-reflection coating, the lenses do last longer. So I would stick with anti-reflection.
I agree with that, because it adds a lot of value to your pair of glasses.
Yeah. Yes.
But then
yes.
with a lot of that will help you decide whether to give this individual or to pass it through.
Yes.
So
Can we move to the next one? Yeah. Look, I mean, a lot of work that happens when new designs are done happens, I guess, in Europe and other parts of the world, where certain designs are suited to an European face. Translating some of that to an Indian face, does it work? I mean, does it, does it have to be different? Do we need, some more local research and new designs to be done here? It's a very broad question. I'll just leave it to the panel.
Well,
I agree with you to a certain extent, because sometimes I've seen that hardcore European collection. I mean, they are big in size. The colors are completely different. They don't really suit the Indian complexion, and the Indian people are not used to those European colors. Although they are attracted by it, they try it on and it doesn't work. So I think I would agree with you a little bit, but most of these frames suit Indian population also very well.
I would also agree on that. What we have observed is a lot of these European collections are slightly larger. If you typically take even the kind of collections that are moving around in North India and the one which is moving in South India, so I stay in the southern part, and what we have observed is people's faces are slightly more smaller. So we require collections which are slightly more smaller compared to a lot of these big brands. Second thing is we have also found in South India that the nose are slightly wider, and compared to a lot of the even the northern part, and a lot of these frames doesn't fit extremely well with those kind of collections. But fortunately, I think we have started getting Indian collections in a lot of brands. So there are brands also who have realized that if you have to make a larger sale in these parts, you would require a collections which is very specific to those requirements. So I think that is changing now.
Ajay, you want to comment?
No, I think both of them have answered most of whatever I have had in mind. It's just that, as Kunal rightly said, even between North Indian collection and South Indian collections, people, when they come in and showcase the frames, there itself, people say, these don't sell in South India. It is this collection that goes straight to Delhi. Then probably the vendors are actually um, carrying a different set of spectacle frames itself. The lot that comes to South India doesn't sell in North, and vice versa. So when you talk about European collection, yes, on fashion magazines or on the internet, when people look at it, they love to try it. But when they actually try it on themselves over here, it doesn't suit most of them. So yes, the Indian collection's got to be slightly different.
Yeah, and it's very positive to hear what Kunal said, that now this is something that the big eyewear companies have realized.
Yes.
So they're probably doing a bit more work, I guess, to come with new designs suitable for an Indian audience, knowing that it's a very growing market here. Just moving on to this discussion, I just want your views on one more thing, which is sunglasses. Now, a lot of people have started using sunglasses for UV protection, style, whatever it is. Is the logic the same between prescription glasses and sunglasses when they choose, a particular thing to wear?
Shall I start with?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So, though what we see of the late, the demand for prescription sunglasses have increased in a big way. But still, if you look at the people here, for them, getting a good kind of pair for the spectacles has still been a priority. And not a lot of them actually want to spend a lot of money on a prescription sunglasses. Though, if you ask me very personally, I love driving. And for me, my prescription sunglasses is of far more importance because it gives me a lot of comfort. And I personally feel lots more secure behind a prescription sunglasses than in a spectacle frame. But I have not seen the same kind of perception among people. So a lot of people who actually opt for a prescription sunglasses, they basically have an idea more for styling, and rather than the requirement and the comfort that it can give on the road, or when you're moving for an adventure or you're moving out. So that kind of importance has still not grown up in a very rapid pace. So I think there is a lot of awareness that has to be given to your patients in terms of how a sunglasses can actually be very, very beneficial, especially for a person who is actually having an active lifestyle, the one who is moving out a lot.
Yeah, Kunal, maybe I'll like you to add just a bit more to your answer. So in case a person picks that component, the sunglass component, is that going to change their selection of frames at all, or would they still go, with what the panel had beautifully explained before? Is that going to change the thinking?
No, I think most of the people who opt for a sunglasses, they normally pick from a sunglass and then they change into a prescription. And they really look for a trendy variety compared to the spectacles. So spectacles, people keep it more simple. And
Vinod, I think you are trying to ask about the rules of selection of sunglasses, whether they are different as compared to frames.
Kind of, yeah.
I would say yes, because when it comes to sunglass, fashion takes the top priority. When it comes to glasses, then it is the vision and the comfort and all those things. So all those rules kind of have to be discounted when you're selecting, when a person is selecting sunglasses. So as Kunal rightly said, they prefer to pick the ready-made sunglass and then get prescription lenses fitted in that. And that works beautifully well for my practice as well, because I've got one favorite brand, which is Ajay's also favorite brand, I'm sure. And we promote those because of the quality and all the aspects. Ajay, you want to add?
Yeah, when it comes to prescription sunglasses, as both of them pointed out, saying that they would pick it up from the sunglass section and want to change it to the prescription of theirs with the same tint, etc. But the problems with these are most of these sunglasses that come are with a slight bit of a wrap, especially with a slightly higher. See, what happens in my place is, let's say the sales staff has pitched in a pair of glasses, and at the end of his sales closure, he's going to advise a prescription sunglasses for it. So he would walk up and pick up a sunglass and say, "Can you do it on this?" Well, you're in a fix to say yes and a no, because if there is too much of a wraparound, then having to process the lenses rather than just tinting them, it can cost them a lot more. Processing lenses is important again, basically because you have to cut off a lot of distortions caused by that excess wrap. So it becomes a little difficult in the pricing. The prescription sunglasses, if it's going to cost him about 3 times to 4 times more than his the regular glasses that he's opted for, that can put him in a situation where he might say no. I would probably like to have something which is going to have a clip-on. Clip-on works fairly well these days, and a lot of frames are now coming in with clip-on options. So which is going to be a Polaroid clip-ons. So I find that a little difficult actually to dispense sunglass with prescription, especially when they want it with a little extra wrap and the size being larger and the prescriptions being slightly higher.
So Ajay, in fact, that's a great tip for the listeners. In case you select, if your client selects a sunglass which has got a curvature, make sure you fit curvature spectacle the sunglass lenses, and don't go in for regular sunglass lenses, because most often the client would come back with a complaint.
Yeah.
Okay, just now taking the conversation forward, it'll be good to hear from all of you in terms of what are the trends in terms of colors, the colors of frames. And also, I'll add one more question. I mean, I think with an aging population, balding or semi-balding is getting more common. What kind of impact do these factors have? So both the color as well as when the hairline starts receding or you don't have hair, what impact does that have?
Well, it's really difficult. See, as of now, as I was just telling you about the way the North Indians prefer their glasses on them as compared to the South Indians, there's a lot of difference. At least for us in South, they still prefer the darker plastic frames. The present scenario over here is still the black frames, which is being sold the most. Then the lighter frames are people who are still willing to try out as a second pair or a third pair. But their best and the favorite frames where they're most often seen are the darker ones. And receding hairline, I'm really not somebody who I think can add in a lot of value to it. Let's see what
in fact, you can add value to it. Now, Vinod, when you don't have hair to make a fashion statement for you, then you need your spectacle lenses to spectacle frame to make that for you.
I thought not having hair is a fashion statement in itself. So,
so what I've realized is people who've got receding hairline, they prefer more prominent frames. And this is my observation. And with respect to the color of the spectacle lenses and sunglasses, I used to forcefully make everyone buy gray color, because that gray color doesn't distort the colors and it is more cooling to the eyes. Until one company came up to me and said, "We would like to make rose color sunglasses for you." And I said, my instinctive reaction was, rose is for girls. I don't want rose color. And they still made it for me. And I realized how beautiful the world looks through them. So now I'm wearing a rose color sunglass. So again, these are individual preferences, but most often my choice sticks with gray and rose, just because I like rose.
Kunal, you want to add anything?
No, I mean, I would agree with one point that I've seen people with a receding hairline that they love to experiment with their frame shapes. I don't know what is the reason behind that, but it certainly looks very nice on them. So that part I agree. And
seem to be devoted to their frames rather than the top of the head.
Yeah, thank you. So the very last question I'll request each one of the panelists to speak on this is, you've dealt with so many people, and you probably have a few things that you said don't do, right? Don't do this when you come here, and pick a pair of spectacles. So if you got to pick 2 or 3 things, what would they be? Maybe Yashwant, you can start, followed by Kunal and then Ajay.
Don't go in for high index lenses unnecessarily.
Sorry, I didn't get that question.
Yeah, you want to repeat the question?
Yeah. So you've dealt with lots and lots of patients or people who come there wanting to buy a pair of spectacles. Now, based on those experiences, if there are certain things you don't want them to do, what would that be? I'm sure they all come demanding certain things, but it's not the right thing. And I thought it'd be good for you to highlight, saying, look, don't do these things.
So I had started off, Vinod, by saying that don't go in for high index lenses unnecessarily. So your optician or your optometrist is the best person to recommend the high index lenses if it is required. I've seen many of people having -4 prescription opting for a 1.67, thinking that the lenses would turn out to be much thinner, which doesn't work that way. Then the other common mistake which people who are presbyopes do is, because this is going to be my first pair of near vision glass or a progressive glass, let me go in for a budget progressive and then eventually move on to a good quality progressive. So don't ever do that. These days, all good quality progressives, they come in with an adaptation warranty, so your money is safe. It is best to go in for a better design rather than going in for a basic design, not adapting to it, and then thinking that progressives don't work. And in the current times, one advice which I would like to give to all spectacle wearers is, we agree that corona can get transferred through spectacle lenses and spectacle frames, but make sure you don't apply sanitizer on the spectacle lens. Many people have damaged their spectacles by wiping it with sanitizer every day. So I think the best advice here we can give to our clients is wash them with soap and water, just as you wash your hands, and your glasses, in fact, would last you much longer than the earlier times. So these are my points.
Yeah, that's great. And Kunal?
So I would agree with those 2 points. A lot of people opting for higher index glasses. My take is very clear. That affects the quality of vision what you have. So you cannot go for high index glasses unless and until it is really required to control the thickness. That part I agree. So I've seen most of the larger brands promoting higher index glasses even for a very minor prescription, and which I'm not very comfortable with. Second part is, yes, when you want to take a progressive lenses, people normally think you have to go with a lower end design and then go for a higher end design later on. It's actually the other way around. You get more adapted quickly to a higher end design. And in fact, then you can actually opt for a lower end design and you would be not so uncomfortable. It's not the other way around. And the third thing is, please don't come with a celebrity picture. It can look good on themselves, but when you look at those glasses, it might not look that great. And the fourth thing is, there is no simple rule of thumb what you see in, through a credit card image and everything. You actually have to try the glasses, feel them to make sure that they are comfortable. And the last and final point is, when selecting the sunglasses, it's not important how great it looks in terms of just the fashion index, but you also have to look at the protective value of the sunglasses, because they are there to give you a lot of comfort and safety. So that's the point.
Thanks. Yeah, last point is very important. Thank you, Kunal.
Yeah. Ajay?
Both of them have covered up almost all the points, which is the don't do's. But when it comes to selection of the frames, when a person is standing in front of you, wondering which one or which of these three should be picked up, 3 or 4. The thing that I actually advise to my customers or my patients are just close your eyes, put them on, sense the comfort. Don't look at how you are appearing with these glasses. Sense which is the most comfortable pair and opt for that particular pair of glasses. That will be my advice strongly to, because they'll be wearing them most part of the day. So that's something that I strongly recommend to people. And the other don'ts are whatever Kunal and Yashwant have just said.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Go ahead, Ajay. You want to finish off here?
My internet connection is probably poor. There's a lot of break, and I'm not sure if I've conveyed what I wanted to say.
Yeah, no, you did. You did. I think there was a couple of very minor ones, but I think it's quite understandable. Thank you. It came out okay. Look, I mean, I think the first thing I want to do is thank Ajay, Kunal, Yashwant. It's been a great panel. Between you have more than 5 decades of experience, and I think it came out quite strongly in what you presented. And I think a lot of the people would have benefited one way or the other. There's been a number of requests to know whether this particular session is taped. It's actually will come out on Facebook tomorrow. So if you want a link, just go to India Vision Institute's Facebook page, and the link would be posted there so that you can actually, if anyone's missed any part of it, they can always go and find the whole recording. Again, thank you so much. Thank you, Vision Plus, for partnering with us, and enjoy the evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.